And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for the start of what is going to be a very entertaining journey. Today, we will start our Rugby World Cup squad series, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Basically, what's going to happen over the next 3 weeks is that we are going to be doing 2 live shows a week, and each live show we're going to be picking a section of the Springboks Rugby World Cup squad. So we're going to be doing props today, we're going to be doing hookers tomorrow. Next week will be the rest of the pack will be doing the second row and the back row. Week after that we'll be doing halfback pairings, and then we're going to be doing centers and outside backs. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm very excited to see how close we can get to the real the squad that will be announced later this year. Obviously, we'll get an indication of sort of what the squad looked like when that first Springbok squad is announced in hopefully about the next month, I'd imagine. Probably sometime at the beginning to mid-June. And the actual World Cup squad is set to be announced in about August, before we go over to play those 2 warm games at Twickenham and in the Millennium Stadium against Wales. So basically what's going to happen is that we're going to put some names out into the comments. We're going to ask the comment stuff for some potential names, stuff like that. We're going to vote for them and start to build a squad that's going to have to fill up all 33 of these positions. So it is a new format this year. We will be having 33 players in the squad, not 31. And so if you go back and we look at the World Cup squad from 2019, for example, we had 2 recognized full-backs in Warkaland Veliru. We had 3 wings in Chesney, Colin, Maxwell, Pimpy, Spur, and Corsi. We had Damien Delende, Jesse Creel, and Francois Steyn, and Lakanya Ami were listed as centers. Francois was actually listed as an outside back, or utility back, I think was the word. We had 3 high fly halves in the form of, we had 2 fly halves really, and Alton Yankees, Andre Parr, Damien Williams as a utility back. We took 3 scrum halves to the last World Cup, and Faf de Klerk, Kosher Yankees, Kobus Renoch. We took 5 loose forwards. Franco Moss considered a lock. We took 4 locks. Lord Diaga, Ebenet Smith, Franco Moss, and Archie Snyman. We took 6 props, and that is what we're going to be doing today. And we took 3 hookers. So we've got an extra 2 spots in the squad, and very interested to sort of see how we will use them. You know, whether we're going to make an extra prop, for example, we can take an extra outside back, we can take an extra loose forward, we can take an extra hooker. Probably makes sense to kind of take 2 utility players, so an extra utility back, maybe an extra utility forward. Something like a Dion Free, for example, who covers the outside, covers flank, can also play hooker if it really needs be. Could be an interesting extra inclusion in the 33-man squad. Interestingly enough, the Springboks have often favored naming sort of 4 scrum halves sometimes at a time in a squad. So maybe that could be a thinking as well. But at the end of the day, this is going to be your squad. We're going to be throwing names out. You guys are going to be voting in the comments, stuff like that, with polls. And that's going to help us really sort of formulate this 33-man squad. And then we're going to put the video together. We're going to release the squad. And we're going to sit and we're going to wait. And then we'll do a comparison to see how close we got to what will be selected as the final squad in August. Later this year, I'll be doing my squad. The squad that I'll be picking, for example, it might be a series, it might just be a one-off. It'll probably be 2 videos. It'll probably be my forwards and my backline players, and then sort of a final sort of squad video as well. But we've got plenty of months and plenty of speculation as we sort of head into the closing stages of the of the domestic season. We've got URC playoffs happening this weekend. And then we've got Currie Cup for the rest of the sort of the next 2 months, really. So there is still plenty of domestic rugby that will be happening, but from a URC perspective, a Heineken Cup perspective, it'll all come to a close this month. I think maybe the URC final, I think the 28th of or around there of May. It basically goes URC quarterfinals and then URC semifinals, followed by the Heineken Cup final and the grand final Saturday, 27th of May. So yeah, all domestic rugby in terms of your top domestic rugby will finish at the end of May. June will just be Currie Cup, as well as I think the top 14 final could be in June. Try and check here. Where is that? Yeah, I think the top 14 final could be in June. I think the Premiership final could also be in June around there. But from a South perspective, most of our rugby will finish. Here we go. So the 17th of June is the top 14 final. Let me check where the Premiership final is. We'll probably cover both those games, to be honest. There's not going to be a lot of rugby in June, so we're going to do a lot of Curry Cup. And apparently the Premiership Rugby final will be on the 27th of May, which is the same time as the URC final, same day. So we'll do a bit of a double header then as well. But that's basically what we've got for the next couple of weeks. And then obviously July, bang, we start with the international season and what an international season is going to be. So let's go to some of the comments before we start throwing out some names and stuff like that. And then we're going to start voting, aren't we? So earlier James saying first name down as Paul Herber. Then he's saying Kitsov, Nikani, and Cher and Koch. I'll be saying is agreed. Everyone says we really appreciate the consistency. More likes, more subs, and more live too. So you're going to reap what you sow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll says either take 2019 squad and debate what changes there should be, what injured players like RWC, etc. I think Japan league is finished, isn't it? Because Masa or some of them are finished anyway. Because Masa Katsia is finished up. So we've got semi-finals happening next weekend. It's Kabbalah Spheres versus Suntory Goliath. Canada Eagles versus Wild Knights. Then I imagine the final will be either a week after that or 2 weeks after that. So that should also be wrapping up this month. Which means that from a Springbok perspective, a couple of those players can get some breaks in and stuff before we then get into national camp. And that's why I think we could be seeing an announcement maybe in the URC Grand Final so that the Boks can go into camp for about 2-3 weeks. They'll probably go in for like a 2-week camp, have a week break, and then go into camp and get going. But yeah, right. Shall we get going here, people? Shall we get going? Now we're gonna start. Yeah. So basically, in 2019 we took 6 props, and we took. If we look at it now, we took Thomas Toy, Stephen Kitsov, Vincent Koch, Frans Mulherber, and Tendai and Twarira. Now, Tendai and Twarira is obviously no longer playing, but we actually took, I think initially took 5 props, and then Thomas Toy actually replaced Trevor Nyakane, who got injured against Zealand in that first match, just much like Damien Willemse replaced Jesse Creel, who played in that first match. So we actually originally took 5 props. If I'm not mistaken, I had the squad just somewhere here, Springbok World Cup squad 2019, and I believe it was Beast Stephen Kitsov as the 2 loose heads, Frans Mulherber, Vincent Koch as the 2 tight heads, and then Trevor Nyakane who played on both sides. So first things first, we got to decide: are we taking 5 props again, or do we want to take a 6th prop? Do we want to use that extra position? Do we want to take a 6th prop? Personally, I quite like the idea of 2 loose heads, 2 tights, and a swing prop. I think it sort of covers the bases quite nicely. It's at the end of the day, if somebody does get injured, you can bring somebody else in. So you basically have 4 of the props playing mostly, and then you can sort of swap one in out. It is a longer World Cup this year than in previous editions. So you also have to sort of factor that in as well. So we originally took, so basically, in theory, we're taking very similar props at the end of the day. We're still talking about, Thomas Toy, Stephen Kitsov, Vincent Koch, Frans Mulherber, Trevor Nyakane. We're probably now throwing in, obviously, Oxen Chair's come through, and he's played. So in many ways, you can kind of just go with the same thing. Add an Oxen Chair into Tukuntunu has come through. Vilko Low is someone who's been on the block radar before as well. So let's start with some loose heads. So I'm gonna start a poll. And choose your 2. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do is I think we can let's choose 2 loose heads, 2 tight heads, and let's decide on a swing prop, shall we? So my loose heads I'm gonna put in are Stephen Kitsov. Okay, choose loose head number 1. Loose head prop number 1. If you're throwing Kitsov, I'm going to throw an Ox in Chair. I'm going to throw it into Tukuntunu. Are there any other props we can throw in? Who's been playing some decent rugby at loose head? We can throw in Stielerkamp. Well, he's been playing reasonably well lately as well. as an option. We can only do 4. So I'm going to throw those 4 out, and we're going to vote. So this is your first name on the sheet. Who are we putting there in that loose head? The poll is there. There's 25 people, so once it gets to about 20 votes, we'll close it, and then move on to choosing our second loose head. We're then going to choose tight head number 1, tight head number 2, and then we'll choose our swing prop, which will probably be between Thomas du Toit and Trevor Nyakane, who's played a lot of minutes this season. He's played 621 minutes, so he's played quite a lot. Difficult to, yeah, I can't say. I don't watch a lot of top 14, so difficult to know exactly how he's playing. But I'll tell you what, I name a time in the last couple of years where Trevor Nyakane has really let us down. So I think he's been a terrific form in the last few years. So I personally would very much have him on the plane. Interested to see what everybody else says and about it as well. Vincent Koch, one of the sort of top sort of in that tight tip spot as well. Often those two going up against each other, one playing ahead of the other. It was, as I said, you say he's injury prone, except for the fact he's played 621 minutes this season, which is quite a lot of minutes. He's played 14 games, so he's played a lot of rugby. So yeah, at the end of the day, he has had a bad injury record. But when he's spread, I do think he's one of our top props. Trying to see. Let's see what his situation's been this season, shall we? He's played. Trying to see if he's missed a game here. No, it doesn't look like it. I mean, he's played this over here. This is now all.rugby saying he's played average 24 minutes. He's played. He's as a starter 56% of the time, 10 out of 18 matches. He's played 626 minutes in the top 14, 198 minutes in the Champions Cup, an average of 46 minutes a game. Doesn't look like he's actually been available for, so didn't play round 10, then 13, 14, 15, didn't play 16, 17, he played 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, he's been playing, and he's been playing a lot. Mostly at tight head. He's played one match at loose head, back against the Harlequins in the Champions Cup. Played it at loose head, but mainly playing in a tight head. Also looks like he covered loose head against Leon a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, looks like, as I said, from this season, played quite a bit of rugby, which is really good to see. But yeah, we'll talk about Trevor when we get to Trevor, is he? Right, so we're gonna end the poll there. That's 19 votes, and everyone's going with Stephen Kitsoff. So the first name going on to the Forever Sports fan selected squad list is Stephen Kitsoff. Which is probably quite straightforward, really. I don't think too many people are going to get sort of diverge away. So there we go. Stephen Kitsoff goes onto the squad list. Right, so now we need to choose our second loose head. Head number 2. And we're going to move his name, which means we're going to put an ox in chair. We're going to throw an into Tuko Nkunu. And we're going to throw in Gerard Stenaka. Is there anybody else you want to put in there? Let me know. I think I would like to say it's Steve Satoli, but he's barely played this year. Thought it was coming through quite nicely last season, but as I said, it hasn't really played. So I'm gonna throw out those names, and let's see how we go. Da, 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 da. That's it. So 20 vote margins we would like to get to. So please make sure you don't be a lurker in the comments. Go and vote on the poll. Go and give us your thoughts. Go and throw it out there. We've got 19 votes, so that's better. It's good to see. So let's see if we can get 20 votes, because it seems to only be 90 people voting. And 19 votes for the first one, I think. Yeah, we did. We've got 19 votes on the second one, so a couple people aren't voting. But that's okay. So we can end that there. And the second name that is going onto the list is going to be Reteko Paditswe, also formerly known as, well, more commonly known as Ox in Chair. So there we go. Ox in Chair is the next name on the list. Probably should have thought hookers, but I wanted to get going with the props. But hey, we can change in the spaces there later. Right, so there we go. We've got 2 names on the team list, or the squad list rather. So we've got Stevie P, we've got Oxen Chair. Right, we now need to decide on some tight heads. So in the tight head question, and tight head number 1, I'm going to throw in France Malherbe. I'm going to throw in Vincent Koch. I'm going to throw in Trevor Ndikane because he predominantly plays as a tight end these days. And I think we should throw in as well Thomas du Toit in as a tight end, seeing as he also predominantly plays as a tight end at the moment. Those two will body back in the mix as your swing props. But let's throw those in, and then once we're done, we're throwing Wilco Low as one of the options. So there we go. Now we're choosing our tight heads. So we're going to choose our first tight head to go into the squad. So go and get voting. As I said, 20 is that lucky number I'm looking for. So we've had 2 votes of 19. Let's see if we can try and get that up a little bit. In the meantime, as well, if you've already voted, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe. As I said, it's going to be a 3-week process, and hopefully, yeah, by the end of the month, we'll have our Forever Sports sort of squad. Hopefully, but as I said, I reckon we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again on Monday. Tomorrow we're gonna be doing hookers. Then we're gonna be Monday and Wednesday next week. Monday and Wednesday the following week, which means by the 19th, Friday the 19th, we'll have a full squad. And I think you might get a Springbok announcement about the 27th. On that URC Grand Final. I reckon around then we might be able to get our first Springbok squad announcement of the year. So 20 to 22 votes, which is looking much better. And I'm going to end the poll there because it's pretty much a whitewash. And of course, why wouldn't the first name on the team sheet, when you're talking about tight heads, not be, for me, the best tight head in the world? And that is the France Malherbe, the fridge. France the fridge. Absolutely world class, and finally getting ready the recognition that he deserves, doesn't he? Took us a while to really start to appreciate just what France does for us, but he's absolutely brilliant. Right, let's go into our second tight head number 2, and we're now going to take France Malherbe out, which means we're going to throw in Vincent Koch back into the mix. We're going to throw in Trevor Ndikane. We're going to throw in Thomas the Tank. And we're going to throw in Wilco Low. I'd like to throw in Carly Sardi. I think that his move away from the lines means he hasn't getting as much game time. Diddley Bashir's been playing pretty well. I'll tell you what, Arsenal and Tlapikani is going to be a nice feature block. I'm looking forward to see him playing. Mornay Smith is obviously the starting tight head over there at Bulls. There's quite a few tight heads all of a sudden popping up, which is good actually, because we've always sort of had a bit of a tight head shortage. That's why Thomas du Toit and Trevor Ndikane have had to sort of make that switch, because we just didn't have tight heads. So it's pretty cool that we're now starting to grow more tight heads coming through, which is good news. Right, anyway, those are the options for tight head number 2. So let's get voting, and let's add a 4th name, and then we've got one more really, and that will be our first video of the series. And again, tomorrow we're going to be going live also at 1 o'clock. We'll be going to be choosing our hookers tomorrow, probably be 3 of them, and then we're going to have a bit of a discussion about our front row combination. So that's it. Because obviously, I mean, if we just try and go live, we vote for 3 hookers and we finish, that's going to be a pretty short live stream. So yeah, once tomorrow we've voted for our hookers, we're going to then look at starting combinations, who we start, who we bench, because then we'll have our front row, and we're sort of so basically what I'd like to do is we're going to actually probably add the 7th live stream where we're going to have our squad, and then we're going to choose our 23. We're then going to say, right, here's our 33-man squad. Who's our 23? Who gets in? Who doesn't? Who starts? Who's on the bench and stuff like that, which should be quite a fun process as well. So in the meantime, I hope you guys are all voting for our second tight head, and looks it's getting a bit closer, which is good to see, and also more votes, which is also good to see. So as I said, please just smash like the video. There's only 7 likes to get that to past 10. If you are new to the channel as well, welcome. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We are busy pushing to try and get to that 24,500 subscribers. which we need 23 people to do. I'd like to get past 25,000 subscribers in the next week or two. We've got a big Formula 1 weekend this weekend again. URC quarterfinals, which should be a lot of fun. And that's going to be on Saturday afternoon. We've got the Bulls game, we've got the Stormers game, we've got a bit of Curry Cup this weekend. We'll obviously be covering the other URC quarterfinals as well, not just the South African teams. We're going to be doing the Champions Cup final next in 2 weeks. We'll be doing the Challenge Cup final as well. We're going to be basically covering all the big. I mean, now we're into the main season. We're going to be covering every single URC game for the rest of the season. Both the Challenge Cup finals. We'll be doing and the Champions Cup final. We're doing both the Premiership and the top 14 final as well. And from next week, we're going to be doing a lot more Curry Cup as well. You know, we've got 4 games a weekend. We're going to start trying to do all 4 of those games. Sevens as well. I don't think it's this weekend. I think it's next weekend. The Sevens is back, and it's a much nicer time, which is going to be pretty cool. We're not having a particularly good season in terms of Sevens, but yeah, if we can just try and finish with a bit of a bang, that would be quite nice, because yeah, it has been a frustrating season. But I think it's London and France, which is Paris, are the 2 remaining tournaments. It's actually trying to get the fixtures here. Where are we at? Here we go. So next weekend we've got Toulouse. So we've got the France one next weekend, 12th and 14th of May, and we're going to be covering that a lot. And then London the weekend after that, and that'll wrap up the 7 series. So a lot of rugby actually wrapping up here in May, and it's going to be a bit of a quiet June, which is going to suck. But yes, you know, we'll find some rugby to cover, won't we? And but go to the comment stuff like that. So a couple of people were talking about the Rusty Rasmus thing. I'll put out a video like that yesterday. So yeah, we've got 26 votes, so we're going to end it there. Very interesting poll, and the reason I'm saying it's very interesting is I'm interested to see how this last vote goes. Vincent Koch has won, and he will be the next man going into Superman Vincent. We're playing this rugby at the Sharks next season. He has gone into he's the 4th chosen prop over there. Obviously, Stephen Kitsoff will not be playing in South Africa next year. He's off to Ulster. We now need to choose our 5th prop. Now, are there any other? I need a 4th option. So at the moment it is choose your 5th prop. Now we've got Trevor Nyakane in there. We've got Thomas du Toit in there. I'm going to throw Intutuko Nkunu in there because he has played for the Boks in the last year. So he's obviously definitely on the Springbok radar. But who is our 4th choice? Do you want to throw in a Wilco Low, for example? Who else can we throw in? We've got 3 props so far. We've got Trevor Nyakane, Thomas du Toit, and Intutuko Nkunu. They are vying for our last spot as in our prop selection for our Rugby World Cup selector. Is there a 4th option that we can throw in here? Deborah's going with Wilco Low. I'm inclined to agree with you. If there's unless there's any of the other options that are thrown out there, then I think it's a pretty safe option to go with. Yeah, always going with Wilco. Right, we're now going to throw that out there. So choose your 5th prop, and we then have to deliver the heartbreaking news to the other 3 to say that they will not be going to France. Because basically, I reckon we probably know better than the coaches. I mean, isn't that how it works? As armchair fans, armchair coaches, we know what's going on here. Far more than the men that get paid the big bucks to do it. So go and vote. I'm very interested to see how this goes. I think this is going to be the closest vote so far, which means I want to try and get at least 30 votes into here. I think this potentially could be the vote which we might. I'm very interested to see. I think the 4 props we voted for, I think they are going to the World Cup. I'm very interested to see who the 5th prop is going to be. From a Springbok perspective, who they're backing it to be. And it's pretty close, by the way, in the poll. So go and vote. Make sure your favorite player is not left behind because you didn't vote. So go and vote on the poll. And let me know where you guys are sitting there with the prop selections. And they were saying Quinn had a blind of sale the other day. Yeah, I've always thought that if Quinn Oosthuizen came back to South Africa, CC the Lions, he could put himself back. He could have put himself on the radar for this World Cup. But what we've seen is that certain players just kind of tend to drop off the radar once they kind of go overseas. I mean, Quinn Oosthuizen last played for the Boks back in 2017. So Yeah, and played pretty well as well. I thought he had a very good season. Again, it's consistency and it was often an issue. Also, something that can play on both sides of the scrum. Very good and loose as well. We used to saw them rewarding runs he used to make at the Cheetahs. But yeah, he is someone who's kind of been lost to the system, isn't he? So what we're going to do, the more I think about it, the more is what we're going to do is we're going to basically name the same amount of players per position as the 2019 World Cup, and we're then going to allocate one to the pack and one to the back line. So what we're going to do is we will take our 5 props, our 3 hookers, our 4 locks, etc., and then we're going to have one more position, and we can throw it out there whether we want to give it to a prop. We can add an extra hooker. We can add an extra outside back, for example. We can do anything. We can add anything. But 22 votes. Then anybody else that wants to vote at the moment, Thomas Toy is edging out Trevor Nyakani. So looks like Trevor Nyakani could be left behind, which would be pretty sad. Interesting enough is that everybody talks about Trevor Nyakani and about how old he is, and he turns 34 tomorrow actually. So he's still. He's experienced and he's not young, but not as old as I think some people think. I think people sort of think that Trevor's sitting there in his late 30s, which is not quite the case. But yeah, let's see. So yeah, it's pretty close. Let's see. The last chance for anybody else to vote. There are a couple of people in here who haven't voted, so I'm going to give you another minute. When it gets to 13:28, we are going to pull the trigger, add that last name. And we will then have our 5. Where's my image gone? Oi! There it is. Those are 4 props at the moment. So we're looking for our 5th prop at the moment. That is what's being voted for. A couple of extra votes coming in, and it has swung a little bit. Last opportunities. And it has gone 13:28 on my watch. Let's see what we've got here. Right, well, there we go. So just 9% more. Thomas Totoy has edged Trevor Nyakani as the final prop in the squad. So Thomas Totoy apparently makes the trip. And and I'm actually just going to line this up for tomorrow because yeah, they usually list hookers first. So I'm actually going to line it up as we are going to see it tomorrow, so that tomorrow we're ready to have our hookers in a place. I just want to do props first. I just always felt like, you want to start with your props and then you move into your hookers. But as traditionally, you do kind of list your hookers first before your props. So we're going to do that here. Well, we were doing that now. Right, so there we go. Our 5 hookers that our 5 props that we have decided to take to France are as follows. And why does this keep going? Come on, man. Stop buckling. And there it is. Those are the 5 props that you guys have decided we're taking to France. It is Stevie Kitsoff, Oxen Chair, Francois Herber, Vincent Koch, and Thomas Totoy. So we've got 2 orthodox loose heads and Stephen Kitsoff, Oxen Chair, 2 orthodox tight heads and Francois Herber, Vincent Koch, and then we've got a bit of a swing prop and Thomas Toy. You can play on both sides. Came through as a loose head, plays a lot as a loose head, but can play on at tight head as well, and is playing a lot more tight head these days. In fact, than he is at loose head. So there we go. Tomorrow we'll be doing hookers, and we've got 3 hookers to try and choose. And Bongi Minambi, Malcolm Marks, Joseph Dweba, Johan Krobler, for example, all names who could be thrown in and around this the chat. Very interested to see what we end up with and who we end up with. So yes, please do smash a like on the video. By the way, this was fun. As I said, this is a 3-week 7-part series. So this is episode number 1. Tomorrow will be episode number 2. We'll have 3 and 4 next week, and then 4, 5, 6 the week after. By the end of that week, in the 3rd week of May, we will have a 33-man squad, and then as well as a starting 15 and 20 and a bench. So well done, people. Well done, the Fair Sports community. We have gotten a start on the squad. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Let's choose some hookers, can we? Which sounds quite exciting. There's definitely there are definitely worse days than when you wake up and have to choose between a couple of good hookers. But yes, we'll do that tomorrow. Please do smash like on the way out. Subscribe if you are new. As I said, we are trying to get past the 25,000 subscribers mark. So you can be part of that journey by clicking the little subscribe button. That's all you got to do. If you'd like to support the channel as well, please do consider becoming a member. It is the pinned comment. And then we will reconvene tomorrow. Thank you very much, and see you soon.